Stream the meeting. Let's see. Instagram's quiet this morning.
Always is. At 5 in the morning.
All right. Well, here we are. Good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
really early on the West Coast. It's not so early on the East Coast. It's 8:06 a.m. here in Florida. Welcome to the Corners In podcast. I'm streaming live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and IG with my guest, James Lowe, aka Coach Ballgame. Couple things before we get started. MLB's put out a proposal to come back and play, and so there's a lot of things going back and forth there as far as testing, as far as contracts and all that stuff. I'll let the more educated people discuss that and come up with a solution there. I'm just going to do my podcast and talk with cool people like James Lowe. He's a former Ivy League dude, pretty smart guy yourself, so you might have some insight on all that stuff that's going on. Yeah, Tuesday nights we've got Kicking It with your boy Swish, special host Nick Swisher, 2009 World Series champion with the New York Yankees, and current special advisor to the New York Yankees GM Brian Cashman. So he's a pretty cool dude, but he answers questions live from high school players that call in and chat. And so that's a really cool experience. We do that live here on Facebook and YouTube as well every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you'd like to be on that show and call in and ask Nick Swisher a question, visit prospectdugout.tv/kickit. And you can submit your question there and possibly get on the show. But today's show, this morning's show, is the Corners In podcast. And I have my very special guest, very cool dude, Mr. James Lowe. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. This is cool. This is
buddy.
my usual podcast time because my two daughters usually get up about 6:30 my time. So this gives me that little window of no screaming or micromanaging or fixing food or wiping faces and all of that good fatherly stuff.
So 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. is your alternate reality.
Exactly. I wake up on purpose just to have my quiet time. I'll read books. I'll drink lots of coffee. I'll watch The Last Dance on ESPN Plus if I haven't watched that yet. So this is my time.
Hey, can you slap me that login for ESPN Plus so I can join in on the fun? Yes. So you you said you like to read books. What book are you reading right now?
Well, I just got the Rod Carew book. I don't know if you can see behind me, but all my books are over here. I'm kind of back and forth with Tommy Lasorda and Rod Carew. Rod Carew's got a brand new book titled One Tough Out. Okay. Reggie Jackson actually gave him that title because he was a really tough out in the game of baseball, but I'm finding out Rod Carew was a tough out in life as well. But
gotcha.
He had a tough one, but he's still rocking and rolling. Love that dude.
So I take it the gist of that book is, persevering through tough times and things like that.
Absolutely. And full circle with Rod Carew is I was once in a gas station in Laguna Hills, California, and I was about to go coach one of my Sandlot games. And I stop in for a pack of gum and I look in front of me and I'm like, yeah, that's Rod Carew. He's standing right in front of me. And he turns around and I'm like, you're Rod Carew. And he says, yes, I am Rod Carew. And I said, I'm a huge fan. I coach baseball. Can I get an autograph? Just being a total fanboy. Yeah. He signed it, talked to me for a little bit. And then when I was leaving, he asked, hey, where's that Sandlot game you're coaching? I was like, it's right down the road, actually. You just turn left at the light. He shows up, talks to all the kids.
That's awesome.
Signs autographs, signs one of my drums and my bat, and then he then he gets back in his car and leaves. But
That is
um,
so cool.
being able to meet him and him be so passionate about, these kids, it was awesome. So I had to get his book as soon as I heard about it. And yeah, good stuff.
That's awesome, man. So you said you drink a lot of coffee too. What kind of coffee guy are you?
Oh, well, I love me some Starbucks and some Dunkin' Donuts if I'm driving around.
Yeah.
But we went with the Target brand French roast for our pods. So this is a pod French roast from Target, and
It's
it's
lovely.
washing down my morning banana real nice.
Well, I had a morning banana as well.
That's what you do. You wake up early, you eat a banana, and,
I
and
drink
you
some
drink
coffee.
coffee and talk baseball at 5 in the morning.
That's it, man. So speaking of Sandlot games, why don't we learn a little bit about you? Who are you?
Yeah, my name's James Lowe. I grew up in North Carolina. I had a couple of brothers and a dad that taught me how to play baseball and football and all that good stuff in the backyard. And then my mom taught me everything else about life. Um, Went to Brown University to play college baseball, played there for 4 years, got an epic education. Um, but when that was over with, didn't get any calls, didn't get drafted. So I went the coaching route, and I've been coaching youth baseball out here in Southern California for like 15 years now, I guess. So started out coaching with a buddy of mine who I played with at Brown in Los Angeles. And then that was kind of my grad school of figuring out, what what's my voice, what is my approach to coaching, and what do I love about
Mhm.
coaching. I just kind of, you know, uh, plodded along. I was in a band. I love music, so I was doing that, waiting tables, substitute teaching. And then about 8 years ago, I met my now wife, and
Mhm.
she really gave me a push to be this guy that I am, Coach Ballgame, and um, it's been really awesome to kind of. I'm 37 years old, but I slowly kind of figured out what things I love post college. I knew I didn't want to rush into just something.
Mhm.
I wanted to really soak up my 20s, enjoy it, and figure out what I love. And what I found out that I love is, on top of baseball, it's coaching kids, music, art, um, and kind of comedic writing and comedic improvisation. So at this point, fast forward to today, I'm really able to marry all of those different interests into one job, which is what I do. I coach baseball camps for kids. I create content to make kids love the game of baseball. And I on a daily basis, I do private lessons, and I run these things called the Sandlot, where I just drop some bases down on one of the many empty Sandlot parks in California, and kids show up and we play baseball. So um, figuring out how to use Instagram Live and YouTube Live, especially now with the quarantine, it's all virtual at the moment, has really kind of grown things to where at 9 a.m. this morning, I'll do a PE class, and there will be kids from Saudi Arabia, Dominican Republic, Missouri, Connecticut, Florida, California, all over the place, all convening in this one spot, my backyard, where I run a little PE class. So um, it's the silver lining to this quarantine. But I heard Mark Cuban say the small businesses that can grind through this and get to the other side, and on top of it, kind of create new avenues of getting your message out there, you'll thrive. So I'm a positively oriented guy, and I had to find the positives pretty quick. So I turned this little room into my studio and my backyard into my kind of baseball forum, and went to work.
Dude, so I can see all those passions that you just described: baseball, coaching kids, music, band, art, comedy. That's all your content, bro. Everything that you believe in, everything that you like is is what you're producing. It's so cool. So speaking of art, don't you have like a coloring book or something?
Yes, I do, man. Good call. Um,
Got you, bro. I got
so
you.
let me grab one of these. So this is a company called coloringbook.com, and
Yes.
you got it there, Instagram Live, you see that. But yeah, I'm sitting behind my drum kit there with the kids over on the side. But I always throw my drum kit in the on deck circle, and I call it my on deck drum. And it really livens up the party. It gets things going. Um, Gets kids out of the dugout, gets somebody rooting for their teammate, word finds, and all that good stuff. But yeah, this just dropped, so it's been cool seeing some pictures of kids
I see
all
the
over the
can I see
country.
the back side of that again?
Yeah, the backside. This
Front side and the back side.
yeah, we got the
That's
front,
cool.
boom, and then the back cover right there. That's my logo, the
Can can
fedora hat.
can somebody order that online?
Yes, you can. The link is in my Instagram bio. It's
Perfect.
also on my website, coachballgame.com. Um,
Perfect.
and the name of the company is coloringbook.com. So uh, they're based in Missouri, and they did an awesome job.
That's so
So
cool.
well, yeah, and my whole thing is kind of um, make kids love baseball, especially the ones that have never seen the game or played the game, or know nothing about it. I want them to love it too. And so when you mix art and coloring and music and all the wackiness that I bring, that's a whole new population of baseball fans.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is the message that you're spreading, the vibe that you're spreading, and the game that you're teaching is going to help that next generation of baseball players. I think right now, so my background, and we've talked before, so you know this, but just to bring context to this rant right here, I've coached high school baseball for 10 years and youth travel ball for the same period of time. So I've been in that and I've seen players that are great, but then they don't know how to play. I've seen players that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but they can't turn a double play. And so I feel like even kids are showing up and they're just not preparing themselves to play and have fun. And so I feel like with what you're doing, you're focusing less on the right and the wrong of what you did and focusing more on being active and trying and having fun and encouraging your teammate and laughing about things and making it a good time. So I think that's really cool because kids are going to use data, they're going to use video, they're going to use analytics to get better. That's going to happen. It's not going to happen when they're 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old. They need to learn how to love the game, have fun, and what you teach is the fundamentals. Like the fundamentals, a lot of kids that don't know the fundamentals think the fundamentals are boring, but the kids that excel understand that the fundamentals are what make them excel and help them excel. So I think that's really cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I learned it real quick. I think a lot of volunteer coaches or first time coaches to youth baseball, they start coaching the way they were recently coached. And I was definitely doing that where I was coaching this group of 6, 7, 8 year olds as if they were 18 or 19 and expecting, that kind of outcome. And that was ridiculous, but it's the way I started out. And I quickly found out that they weren't having any fun and I wasn't having any fun. So something had to change. And I knew I loved baseball. I knew I loved kids. So I just kind of slowly started listening to the kids and kind of
Mm.
figuring out what they enjoyed, what they liked. And a big thing that kind of enlightened me was hardly any of these kids were me as a kid. Like me as a kid had to be outdoors playing ball for 10 hours a day.
Mhm.
A lot of these kids, they don't even want to be here. So I've got to first relate to them and get to know them and figure out, who they are and what they what their passions are, and then figure out how to engage them. My three-prong attack is make them have tons of fun, like they're at a birthday party, make them a better person, and then teach them the fundamentals in a wacky, fun, engaging way. So that might be songs, catchphrases, animal references, things that rhyme, superhero references, anything to kind of engage them. And I usually get a nickname right away from all of the kids, kind of based on that, based on
Mm-hmm.
what's going to make them thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the nickname, whenever I know the nickname, I know kind of how they tick, and
Right.
I can, go into that. I can lean into that. Let's say they had a couple of strikeouts. I can reference that Batman or that Disneyland character that they respond to, and get them to, you know, get back on the horse. So yeah, I've turned into kind of just this motivator who teaches the joy of life kind of through the lens of baseball, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really my dream job. So um, yeah, man, I just want kids to love the game, and yeah, and we've talked about this as well, just the winning and the losing, that pressure, or that elite kind of sense of baseball that can seep in, as far as you got to have the best bat and the best glove and the most wins and the fastest fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is zoned for a very small population, maybe a 1 percentile of the kids out there.
Right.
But there's a ton of kids that love music, and they love
Mm-hmm.
um, dance and art and video games, and I just want to reel that crew in too. And launch angle's not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The brand new BB Core bat's not going to do it. So I uh, I want to appeal to the masses.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. So what really made you want to get into coaching at that younger level? Like you're not really your content isn't really geared towards that older demographic. Like I enjoy watching it. I can relate to it because I believe in the passion that you have. I understand why you're doing it. And you say when you're just explaining, like talking about a kid who strikes out or whatever, like you can understand what makes him tick and things like that. Like some people may not understand that, but I get that. Like I totally understand that. Being a coach, being around kids, I can understand that, Johnny and Jimmy have different emotional reactions to a situation. And so being able to relate with them as a teammate or a team player as a whole, but then also being able to relate to them individually outside of, being one of the players on the team. I think that's something that, you know, it takes a little bit of effort and energy to pay attention to that. And so I think that's really cool. But what was it about the younger demographic that made you want to get into it?
Well, I mean, there was a kid at one of the first camps I ever coached, and he was 5 years old. And his parent came up at the registration table and said, "We're going to give baseball one last try, because we've had some rough experiences with coaches yelling, and my son's
One
just not
last
having."
try at 5 years old.
Exactly. Yeah, that should
Wow.
be the name of a book. One last try at 5. And that was a bell just ringing off in my head, like, this is a niche, this is a space that needs some resources, that needs to be tapped into. And I mean, I full transparency, I have an itch to coach that 16-year-old travel team, or work those skills that I really learned in
Yeah,
college,
you
and
played
I do
Division
that.
One baseball, so obviously you know a little bit about the game and have some skill.
Yeah, and that's where lessons come in. Private lessons is where I can really scratch that itch, and learn all the things I learned in college. I can teach those things.
Mhm.
But as far as the young ones, that just it was a niche that nobody really tapped into, and I just found myself um, along the way. It was a slow one, and I even had one day where I went to my boss at a camp, and I'm like, I didn't sign up for this chasing butterfly, herding cats job.
Yeah.
And it
Babysitting.
took me a minute exactly to figure it out. But once I embraced that these kids need a great first impression on the
Mhm.
game,
Mhm.
it's necessary for the game to grow. Then I really started to enjoy it, and found ways to get them to pay attention and to be good people. And it's so important, the first impression. So that 5-year-old that came to me and was like, "I'm going to give it one last shot," I'm like, that is. I didn't even start playing baseball till I was almost 9. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, the importance of kind of painting that first good picture in a kid's brain. You just want them to come back next year at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
all of the parents and the coaches that are asked to go volunteer at youth sporting events, I mean, youth sports stands on the backs of those engineers and
Mhm.
those electricians and plumbers and teachers and
Mhm.
nurses. So giving them resources is another big part of it. How to engage the kids, get them to love the game, and teach those basic skills um, at that young age. So now it's full steam ahead with all of my gadgets and gadgets and guitars and drums and songs and catchphrases.
Yeah, for sure. I think what for me, I started playing when I was 5 years old as well, and the route that I took was I did have parents that appreciated the game and didn't expect me to be the best. They wanted me to go out and have fun and wanted me to be in the best opportunity. They didn't necessarily say, "Oh, well, you should be playing here because of you're this or whatever." Like that conversation never happened. It was always, "Oh, well, if that's a better place to play, well, let's figure out how to get you there." So I grew up in that environment, but the thing that we lacked was the knowledge of how to get to the next level. And so that's where Prospect Dugout really was birthed because I met, my business partner in college that had the same experience growing up. So for us, being able to give back to the generation of baseball players that, where we felt like we missed out was, the high school player and giving them uh, giving back in a way where we have a platform for them to get exposure. We felt like, that's what we really missed out on. That's what we saw a need for. And so that's what we've created. So I feel like playing baseball helped set the stage for life outside of baseball because I don't think necessarily it's about the knowledge that we have about the game of baseball that makes any of this stuff relevant. I played 5 years of independent baseball, not even affiliated, so it's not a high level. You only played Division 1 college baseball. Some other people play Major League Baseball. They're not giving back and doing things like this. So I don't think it has anything to do with the experience level. I think it has everything to do with it's creating a blueprint for you to be able to relate and communicate and interact with players. So for you to be able to go to a 5-year-old kid and make him want to come back and play baseball next year, and for me to be able to use this platform and help a 16-year-old that is trying to get to a college somewhere. I feel like that's why we do it, man. That's why we're here, and that's why I wanted you on the podcast because you are doing something that I can honestly see a need for. I can see, you know, parents talking on Facebook groups about how, their kid wants to give up and things like that, or, their kid, doesn't know how to do this or what's the best way to train and this and that. Like you're hitting a niche that, it's a small niche, but I think you can have a great impact on, the lives and the careers of a lot of kids.
Thanks, man. And yeah, I thrive on it. I think that's important for whatever job you choose. And same with you. You're going to thrive and your job because you love it. You show up every day and you enjoy what you do. So that's what
Mhm.
I wish for my daughters when they get older is that they'll pick something that they love, even
Yeah,
if they had to wait tables or substitute teach for 15 years prior to that.
that's it.
So there you go.
Well, thank you so much, James, for joining me, aka Coach Ballgame. Thank you for joining me on the Corners In podcast. I'm your host, Joel Hartman. If you're watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, I'd appreciate if you hit the share button. That'd be cool. Or drop a like or a comment. If you're listening to this on the podcast, leave a review. That would be super awesome for me. I'd greatly appreciate that. Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, kicking it with your boy Swish. It's a serious time. It's live on Facebook, live on YouTube, all the platforms. Nick Swisher, uh, special advisor to Brian Cashman of the New York Yankees. He sits down, players from across the country call in, talk with him live, answer questions. We, talk back and forth. It's a great time. It's a really cool experience. So if you want to get on that show, prospectdugout.tv/kick it. But yeah, great episode learning more about James Lowe, aka Coach Ballgame. If you're watching, go follow him on Instagram, YouTube at Coach Ballgame. What's your website again?
So coachballgame.com.
Alrighty.
And yep, you got at Coach Ballgame on all the other things, the Instagram, the Facebook, and YouTube as well, Coach Ballgame. So
Love it.
you'll see the instructional videos, you'll see the fun videos, all trying to make them have fun, engage them, and make them better people, and then teach those skills. So boom,
That's awesome.
boom.
Thank you, James, so much for joining me on today's episode of the Corners End podcast.
Thanks for having me, Joel.
Alrighty.